Stop being nice. Have you ever thought about what it means to be nice? Because I've had a lot of people tell me that they're trying to be nice, but they also seem really unhappy in their relationships and they don't really know how to change things. Now be nice and subscribe. There are two ways we can interpret the word nice. We can either say it describes a quality of something, such as a person, place, or thing, or we can say it describes an action. The common interpretation is that nice is synonymous with good, but if we were to peel back some of the layers on the meaning of the word, we might find that it's not exactly what we think. When we describe a person as nice, we usually mean they have good qualities, maybe that they're friendly, pleasant, and polite. When we describe something as nice, we usually mean it's pleasant, enjoyable, and good. But what happens when we start to look at these definitions more closely? Let's take the example of a friend who always agrees with you, even when you know deep down they don't agree. This is probably because they want to keep the peace, make you happy, or just maintain your friendship. Now, on the surface, this seems like a nice thing to do, right? You've maintained harmony, so everything's good. But what happens over time when you're in a relationship with someone who never tells you the truth or gives you genuine feedback? Well, it makes it very difficult for you to improve or change because you lines never know the whole story. And it makes it hard for you to trust them because they aren't being genuine or authentic with you. In reality, by being so-called nice, they've actually destroyed the very thing that they were trying to protect, the friendship itself. When we decide to be nice, we may think we're acting in accordance with our values, but what if we're actually doing something completely different? What if being nice is actually just another way of saying that we care too much about other people's opinions and are afraid to upset them? So, what does the research say? Why is being nice bad? Well, for one, there's a difference between being nice and being kind. Kindness is about helping others, whereas being nice is about making people happy. And we can't always do these two things. Sometimes we have to be honest, even if it hurts. Sometimes we have to tell people no, even if it disappoints them. By doing so, we may lose their approval, but in doing so, we will have stayed true to ourselves and hopefully maintained the respect of the other person. So in the long run, being nice isn't actually nice at all. It's just another way of saying that we're afraid of conflict. That's why people who are nice sometimes feel uncomfortable asking for help or saying no, because they're worried that it might hurt someone else's feelings. But this fear of hurting other people's feelings is unfounded. People can handle the truth and they will respect you for telling them, even if it's not always pleasant to hear. So if you want to be respected, if you want to build strong relationships with other people, then you need to stop being nice. Instead, you need to be yourself. But how do we do that? How do we become less nice? First, we need to stop caring so much about what other people think of us. This is easier said than done, of course, but it is important to remember that other people are just as busy worrying about themselves as we are. They don't have time to sit around judging us. Second, we need to learn to say no. Saying yes to everything is a surefire way to end up resentful. We need to learn to set boundaries and stick to them. This doesn't mean that we should never compromise, but it does mean that we shouldn't feel guilty about putting our own needs first every now and then. Finally, we need to learn to be honest, even when it's not easy. Honesty is the best policy. Even if it hurts, people will respect you for it. So, if you want to stop being nice, if you want to start being real, then follow these 3 steps. Stop caring so much about what other people think. Learn to say no, and learn to be honest. But let's go back to the idea of being nice. If we define being nice as doing whatever we can to make other people happy, then it's easy to see why it's a bad thing. When we try to make other people happy, we're essentially telling them that they're not good enough as they are. We're telling them that they need us to make them happy, and that's just not true. Other people can and should be able to make themselves happy. It's not our responsibility to do that for them. Trying to make other people happy all the time is also a surefire way to burn ourselves out. We're human beings, not human doings, and it's important to remember that we need to take care of ourselves first and foremost. Kierkegaard talks about how we often live in a state of boredom and despair, and that the reason for this is that we haven't yet found our passion, our calling. Until we find this, our lives will lack meaning and will be prone to anxiety and depression. But once we find our passion, our calling, then we'll have direction, purpose, and meaning in our lives. At that point, we won't be nearly as concerned with what other people think of us because we'll be too busy following our own path. We'll have found something that we're passionate about and that gives us a sense of fulfillment. Kierkegaard was a Danish philosopher, theologian, and poet who is considered to be the father of existentialism. He lived from 1813 to 1855, and his work has had a profound influence on modern philosophy and psychology. Kierkegaard's ideas are complex and often difficult to understand, but one of his key concepts is that of passion. Kierkegaard believed that we all have a passion, a calling that we are meant to follow, and it is through following our passion that we find meaning and purpose in life. When we don't follow our passion, we instead become bored and despairing. According to Kierkegaard, the first step to finding our passion is to admit that we are bored. Once we've admitted that we're bored, we need to ask ourselves why we're bored. What is it that we're not getting out of life? What do we want more of? When we figure out what we want more of, we've taken the second step towards finding our passion. Now we need to take action. We need to start working towards what we want. This may require us to make some changes in our lives, but it will be worth it. Taking action is the third step towards finding our passion. And it is through taking action that we will eventually find our calling. When we find our passion, we will no longer be concerned with what other people think of us. We will be too busy following our own path. For example, let us say you're an accountant who feels like there has to be more to life than crunching numbers all day. You may be feeling bored and unfulfilled, which is your passion. You might ask yourself why you're feeling this way and realize that you love working with people and want a job that allows you to do that more. You could then take action by enrolling in classes to get a new job that allows you to work with people more. After taking some time and effort, you may find that there's a role that you're really passionate about. Through following these steps, you've managed to find your passion. But what if you haven't found your passion yet? Well, according to Kierkegaard, that's okay. It just means that you haven't found it yet. It's still out there waiting for you. The important thing is that you don't give up on finding it. Keep trying new things, keep challenging yourself, and eventually you'll find your passion. It may take some time, but it will be worth it. Being nice is just another way of saying that we care too much about other people's opinions. And it's something that we need to stop doing if we want to be happy and fulfilled. According to Kierkegaard, we all have a passion, a calling that we are meant to follow. When we haven't found our passion, we may feel bored and unfulfilled. But the important thing is not to give up on finding it. Keep trying new things and eventually we'll find our passion. It may take some time, but it will be worth it. So if you're feeling bored or unfulfilled, ask yourself, why? What is it that I'm not getting out of life? What do I want more of? Once you figure out what you want more of, take action. Start working towards what you want. It may take some time, but eventually you'll find your passion. And when you do, you'll no longer be concerned with what other people think of you. You'll be too busy following your own path. If you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, then don't be nice. Be real. Be honest. Be authentic. Don't be afraid to be yourself. That's what matters most in life. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit subscribe.